Welcome to Paradigm Shift on the Go. This is a place for the entrepreneur. It's a place to encourage the spirit of the entrepreneur, because the entrepreneur game is a creative space, and it's not meant to be an endeavor that one does on their own. You need support because entrepreneurship essentially is about transformation. You're going from who you are right now to the person you want to be. And so what I want to go over today is one of the biggest areas that people have as entrepreneurs difficulty with is two areas. One is understanding exactly how they want to live their life, and to where they're starting from right now, because it's the thinking that we're engaged with right now in our subconscious mind, our operating system, our paradigm, that is causing the results that we're getting right now. So if we've got a goal of achieving something greater than the life we're experiencing now, then we're going to have to think at a different level. We have to develop our paradigm to believe that we can achieve what it is that we want to achieve. And I'm assuming that as an entrepreneur, you've got a goal that's way outside of what you believe is possible right now. You don't have a plan. You don't have an idea of how to get to where you want to go. That's how big the goal is. Anything other than that, you're just going sideways. There's no growth entailed with that. So I wouldn't suggest going sideways. I wouldn't suggest, if your goal is to go and buy the same type of car 4 years on, that's not a goal. That's just doing what you already know how to do. A goal is achieving something, accomplishing something that you have no idea how to achieve, because it causes you to grow. And entrepreneurship is just about growth. Entrepreneurship is about stepping into the unknown all the time. So becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable all the time. So what I want to go over today is a process I did in 2005 and again in 2007. And actually, I've been reading through it again. I actually did it in 2009 as well. I keep updating it. And it was a process that I did with a mentor at that time, Errol Shivers, who helped me because, I paid for the course, and I paid for it twice. Actually, we did it in Tamworth over a week, over separate weekends, 2005, 2007. And basically, this book is a book of records, goals, dreams, and achievements. Okay, and he went through. So we would arrive on a Friday, we'd do a little bit on a Friday night, and then Saturday full day, we'd go through this process. And what he did was he was very good at breaking down and unpacking what it is that we wanted for our life. So I want to go through that process, because what it ended up with was a story of an ideal day in my life. And I'll read some of these points in here, because I'm actually living that now. So just to give you some context, in 2005, we would recently moved. I'm Australian born, but grew up in Zimbabwe, and had experienced some relative success in Zimbabwe with a business that eventually became part of a company that listed on a stock exchange. And I experienced that. Not that I was the major player of that. I wasn't the guru in that, but a business that we started, my business partner and I, became part of a listed company, and we became part of that. And it was an experience that is awesome, because it was an idea that we had. We applied for the license to get a license to operate a safari business, and eventually that safari business became part of a big company that's still operating through Africa and does very well. And, we were part of that, and it was a great experience. But then we moved to Australia. My wife had decided that she didn't want her girls going to boarding school, and those were really the only option if we carried on living where we were living. So we moved to Australia, and our girls grew up here. And 2 years after moving back to Australia, we were living in Sydney, and I lost everything in a dismal business failure. And it was probably the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because although there were a whole lot of that time was particularly miserable, it forced me to wake up and become aware of so much more. So this process of unpacking what it is that you want so that you can get clarity of where you want to go in your life is a really important thing. So I'd suggest grab a piece of paper and we'll just go through some quick ideas. So the first idea was, Errol says, let's work out where you are right now. So he had this this simple piece of paper that he called the Wheel of Life, okay? And so what it is if you draw a vertical line and a horizontal line, and then I put in at the end of each line, I put H for health, the east horizontal line, I put EA, which represents extraordinary adventure, live life like it's an extraordinary adventure. And then the south line, I would put an R for the quality of the relationships that I had. And then the west line, I put a W for wealth. So he said, okay, now calibrate each one of those lines from one. So the center is a circle, and that represents the center of our being is consciousness. We are consciously aware, and I wasn't at that point, that we're part of something that's far bigger than who we think we are right now. And I did believe that there was a power greater than I am. I believed in a God. And so in that center is your conscious awareness. And I'll come back to that. So say you calibrate each one of those lines, 1 to 10. And then on each of them, he said, okay, now just put a point where you think you are with your health. Is it a 1, which is not good, or is it 10, is it exceptional? And I literally, if I read mine here, I put 2. No, I put 1, okay? Because I was suffering from anxiety. I was having panic attacks. I just lost everything. We're brand new in Australia. We didn't own a home. I couldn't get a job. I've got no qualifications other than what I do now. And I didn't know how I was going to recover from where I was. I literally, all I could get was commission-only sales jobs as a mortgage refinancer, or selling contracts for ATMs into convenience stores and things like that. That's all I could get done. So I'd only get paid every sale that I made. I put in petrol in my own car, wearing my own car out, driving all over New South Wales, trying to get these sales. And at that stage, I wasn't particularly good at sales. So I'd have to do a lot of work to get that. So I would never see my family. My health was going down. I was putting on weight because I was living on pies and energy drinks, because I was just blissfully unaware of living better, even though my wife's Italian, cooked beautiful food. I was traveling all the time. So, I wasn't in a good place. So my health I put as a 1. 2, so if I looked at my wealth, I put a 0, because I had debt. I had no cash and I had debt, so 0. And then in terms of my relationships, I put here a 1, because my relationship with my wife was absolutely shocking at that time. She was really upset that I'd been so reckless in setting up this business in Australia, and not doing the due diligence and being responsible. I was irresponsible. And so she was a bit miffed, because she couldn't see how we could dig ourselves out of that hole. And then in terms of living life like it's an extraordinary adventure, my life was just terrible. It was just terror. I couldn't think past right now, today. I couldn't think of a better future. So that's where I started with. And you can do the same. Just rate where you think you are right now. And that's the starting point. That is really, as Bob Proctor used to say, he ultimately became my mentor. He said 2 things every entrepreneur needs to know: where they're going and where they're starting from. Because the paradigm that you're locked into right now is giving you the results that you are. What's the paradigm? Well, it's the thoughts, the ideas, the fixed ideas, the habits and routines, the belief system, the self-image that you're locked into, that really influence most of your habitual behavior. And interestingly, most of your behavior is habitual. So if you want to change your results, you have to change the paradigm, hence the name for this show. And so then we went on to making a master list of dreams. Okay, so I broke mine down into my spiritual dreams, my list of financial dreams, family dreams, physical dreams in terms of my health, the toys and properties that I wanted. You know, you can carry on, keep doing it. Holidays that we wanted, and so on. I mean, there's just heaps here that I wrote down. And this is, I write these ones here. So 2005 is the first, and then 2007, I wrote some of them here. 2008, I wrote. So what did I write? Okay, so let's say family. You can write whatever comes to your mind. I've got here how much I wanted to pay our family for in terms of income at that time. And bear in mind, at that stage, I was earning, a commission, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 for a sale. And maybe I'll get one a week, maybe I get two a week, maybe I'll get one every 2 weeks. It was all over the place, like a rash. I put here, financially pay back all my debts by 2010. Well, that didn't happen. I only paid them back basically. I think the last debt I paid back was 2022, I think. But still, I wrote it in there. Okay. These were debts to business partners that for the mistake that I made. Here in 2005, in terms of my financial, I wrote here, I earn $1,000 a day. Didn't say what I was doing, just wrote that. And here, build a X dollar annual pipeline business. So, money was coming in. And actually, funny enough, that happened with the business that my wife and I sold. That happened in terms of the dollar number I wrote here was actually literally 2 and a bit times the dollar amount I wrote here. So be generous with the numbers that you write. And I would suggest if you write any number, always, because it'll be the furthest extent of what you believe is possible, but always leave the opening by putting a little plus at the end of any financial goal that you write, okay? Put a plus, because then you're not limiting infinite intelligence. You're not limiting the universe. You're not saying, I have to earn X. No, that's what I believe I can earn, but I'll put a plus there in case you see it fit that I earn more. Because the more you earn, the earning of money is a funny thing, because people have funny ideas about money because we learn it from people who don't really study how money really works. We learn it from our parents, and they may not have learned the ideas about money. But money does two things. It provides you with security and comfort for you and your family. And the second thing, it enables you as an entrepreneur to extend your value far beyond where you are right now. So that's the important thing about money. It's just a tool. And let's just get that right. So if you want to put a big number there, don't feel that, are you deserving? Are you worth that? All of that. No, it's not the point. It's just a tool. So I've written here physical, that, I run daily, and that my weight, I put here, my weight's 84 kgs. Funny enough, I'd been trying to get down to 82 kgs in the last 2 years, and I've forgotten about this, but my weight's kind of sat at between 84 and 85 without really trying that hard. So that's interesting. I better change it to 82. What else have I written here that, I've written here, go on a safari in Africa. Well, we went on a massive one last year with our daughters, and it was absolutely fantastic. We were out there for 2 months. We loved it. Here it says here, in 2005, in 22nd of January 2005, I wrote here, we didn't own a home. So I wrote here, own a home in Terry Hills in Sydney. I love that area, part of Sydney. And I wrote here 5 acres. Well, we don't live in Terry Hills in Sydney. We live in the hinterland of Noosa. And we have a couple of properties here and excess of 5 acres. And it says here that looking into the hills, well, if I look straight past that camera, I'm looking into hills. The Karoi Mountain is right there. So it's interesting what you write. And it wasn't as if we came here and I said, okay, this is the place. I didn't choose this place. My wife chose it. And she chose to purchase this property next door. I didn't. So what you write, funny enough, comes to pass. I wrote here, illicit dreams of holidays, go to Ireland. I'm Irish descent, never been to Ireland. My sister lives in Ireland. And I had to go to the Caribbean. Well, I didn't have to. I went to the Caribbean earlier this year. And then I went to see my sister in Ireland. And we went to Donegal, and it was wonderful. So I can tick that one off. I've forgotten about that. There's heaps here. I just kept writing and kept writing. And I was just following the instruction of what Errol told me to do. And I kept writing. Okay, so you've got this master list of dreams. And you file this. I've got this file. I've had this file since 2005. And I just keep adding to it when I feel like it. It's not like I have to do anything. Then what he went on to, and I'll speed this up a bit, says, it's a good question to ask yourself, how would I like to be remembered after I've gone? And then I just wrote down here, I've got 14 ideas here of how I want to be remembered. Write that down. Write a short story about how you want to be remembered. What would you like the eulogy at your funeral to sound like? And just write that out. Then he says here, what are my life goals and how would I like to spend the next 5 years? So this is just a short story for the next 5 years. And funny enough, there's some things in here that actually happened. Like I said, go fishing twice a year. Well, I'm actually on the WhatsApp group. We're thinking of going to Fraser Island quickly this weekend. We go and camp right at the top end of Fraser Island at Watamba Bay. And so, and then we've got another one booked for November. And so we were living in Sydney when I wrote that. Okay, so now we're living here. It takes us from where I'm sitting right now, when we've got the boat loaded, it takes us 3 hours, drive to Harvey Bay, boat up to Watamba. It takes us 3 hours to get to our camping spot. We just camp on the sand. It's beautiful. At this time of the year, it's full of whales. It's outstanding. So then the last thing is that we spent time here writing a story titled A Day in My Life in the year, and then put whatever year it is. So he's proposing 5 years from now. Well, it didn't happen in 5 years for me. It happened probably over 10 years, but it doesn't matter. I'm glad I wrote it because I wrote in here things like, I didn't say what work I did because I didn't know what work I was going to do. I just had odd jobs at that time. So I've got here beautiful views of rolling hills. It's peaceful and I can hear birds. Well, I went for a walk before I did this video, and just past our home, I was blown away because the lyrebirds, I walked through a creek and the lyrebirds were going absolutely berserk, and it was beautiful. So it's amazing. You see, because I wrote it, what happens is now that becomes an important part of your life. So what they call the RAS, the reticular activating system in your brain, starts to look for evidence to prove these things. So I heard the birds. And so write the story. I wrote here what I ate, what I eat, that I go and train 4 horses. I don't do that at the moment yet, but it's coming. I attend to business from a beautiful office. I got a beautiful office. My wife built this for us when we had the former business, and I get to come here. I don't call it an office. I try and call it a studio because I find it's a creative space. And then we spend half an hour every day planning our next holiday. Well, we're talking about a holiday at the moment, my wife and I, because we want to go for a short break somewhere. And so, but in 2005, you've got to go from the context of it. I couldn't imagine going on holiday because I couldn't figure out how I was going to get money to put petrol in my car to go make the next sale, let alone go on holidays. Okay. Our house is a beautiful country home. Well, we have a beautiful, I think it's a very simple home, but it's in this beautiful property. And it's just permanently green here. Well, I'm on the next door property now, and I mowed the paddock in front there, and it's beautiful. We had a wallaby in that paddock yesterday evening. It's lovely here. We have stables. I built stables for my daughter. So I wrote here, the stables are immaculate. My horses are stunning. I don't have horses anymore. My daughter's moved out, so she doesn't have horses here anymore. But there's stables there. We built them. I built them with my brother-in-law who lives in Ireland now. He came on holiday, and I said, okay, well, you're a practical guy. We're going to build some stables. And we did. They're magnificent. So what my point is, this story that you write is so important, because now I want to go back to that wheel of life idea, where you've got the center is your consciousness. And if you look at that consciousness in the center, and you've got this calibration going out 1 to 10, and you've written where you are right now, you've put a point, in terms of your health, you're a 1 to a 10. In terms of your life being an extraordinary adventure, you're a 1 to 10. In terms of your relationships, you're a 1 to a 10. Just put whatever point it is, and then your wealth, 1 to a 10, what you believe it is. Then join it up, draw a circle, and then that wheel that you see, you can see where the flat tire is. You can see where my flat tire was when I explained it to you. My one that I wrote in 2005, I was dead, so I had no wealth, so I was absolutely flat there. So that's your starting point. So here's where I think it gets interesting is that now if you write that ideal day in your life in 5 years from now, how you would like to live your life, be as detailed as possible, and you can always build on it. Now, how do you expand your conscious awareness of what's possible for you? Well, this is where it gets really simple. If you become quite pragmatic about this whole idea, and that line that you've drawn is basically the boundary that constrains you right now. That boundary is your belief system that's operating subconsciously. So you've got a conscious mind, which you're listening to me, you're hearing me, that's a conscious mind. You've got the subconscious mind, okay? So the subconscious mind is where your paradigm resides, and that's your operating system. The boundary that you're bumping up against right now, you may be frustrated because you know that you want more, you want to earn more, you want to experience more, you want better relationships, you want more love, you name it, you want better health, is beyond that circle. And I'm here to tell you that it's so easy because you've achieved things in your life. So when you say, well, I want to step beyond this so-called boundary, this constraint that I have, then the way I see it now is those calibrations that you see are actually like chapters in your book. So you've written your story. Now you've got these chapters. So to turn the page so you can step into the next chapter. So whatever number you're on with your relationship chapter, to step into a better chapter, then all you have to do is uncover the limiting belief that's keeping you in this chapter right now. When you uncover that limiting belief, then you can analyze it and say, you basically, when you look at it, if you can write it down on a piece of paper, which is simple, say, put relationships in the center of the page. This is a paradigm shift idea. You can do it very quickly. And with your relationship, say it was one person, maybe just significant other, write down there your relationship. Is it good or bad, or you want to improve it, or whatever is important to you with that relationship, put it in the center. Now, everything associated with that relationship, write it down around that paper. It's like a map that you're writing, and you write everything that's good, everything that's bad. Then all the good's great. Look at the bad, the things that you don't like, that doesn't make you feel good, that you've written down associated with that relationship. Pick the number one thing, just one thing, and say, okay, well, that's how I feel about that. Then analyze that and say, where does that thought come from? How does it come? No blaming yourself or the other. That idea, where did it come from? Was it an experience you had when you were a child and you watched your parents have a relationship? Is that where it came from? Oh, maybe it was. Okay, I was 5 years old. I saw my parents arguing about money. And so I came to the conclusion at 5 years old that money causes arguments in relationships. That's where that idea came from. That's how ridiculous it is. In our formative years, from the age of 0 to 7, we're making decisions for the rest of our life, and they become our belief system, and we operate them right into our adulthood. Okay, so when you uncover that and you say, well, actually, it's not the truth, you can call it for what it is. You can say, what's a better assumption? Well, money's just a tool, and we're both capable. We can both earn money. We can generate money. We can generate whatever income we want when we decide to. That money is good for us because it gives us comfort, it gives us security, and we can extend the service of what we would like to achieve in the world far beyond our immediate circumstances. So you can change, you can make a new assumption. When you make that new assumption, then decide, make a committed decision that that is the assumption that you're going to entertain from now on. Then the third thing that you do, which is really important, is that you stand in the space, because it's going to be an empty space of this new decision. You stand firm with that new decision. Stand firm with it. Hold that position. And what happens is that the human condition, we have a program in us that goes out to look for the evidence to prove that decision. It's called confirmation bias. We have a confirmation bias. What does that do? Well, that cements that new idea, that new decision you've made into your subconscious mind. It cements it there. And you hold that for long enough. Now, that might be for 30 days. It might be for 90 days. However long it takes, it doesn't matter. Just hold it. And what happens now is the old idea that was causing a challenge falls away because you're not giving any attention anymore. You give attention to the new idea, the new decision that you've made. So you become essentially a master decision maker. You look for what's causing the issue. You look for new assumptions that are better performing assumptions, because the old assumption was non-productive. It wasn't giving you a result that made you feel good. And you make a committed decision that is your new idea that you are going to lock into. And then you just hold that space for long enough for your confirmation bias to go and find the evidence to make that your new belief. So that's a simple way to keep turning the chapters of your story in your movement towards the expansion of your life into the story that you want. And so if you did that with each area, so your health, the living life like it's an extraordinary experience, adventure, and the quality of your relationships and the wealth that you have, if you start working with that idea, what happens is that your circle starts to expand. And so your conscious awareness of what's possible for you starts to expand. The space in the middle there, if you can imagine, because most people understand that emotions drive behavior. Behavior gives us our results. So if you can take that piece of paper now and start to imagine that conscious awareness that you're expanding in the center is almost like a warm golden glow, that it emanates appreciation and the highest form of thought, which is love, just emanates from that ever expanding awareness of who you are on that scale that you've got for your life. Very simple. You can imagine it, and it's just growing. And in this that whole area there, what is the core of every human being is the need to express the value that they came to this planet to provide. That's what drives most entrepreneurs. It's not necessarily the getting of money, it's the providing of service. And so if you fill that golden area, that conscious awareness that's ever expanding with the idea that you want to bring into the world, and that becomes the center of who you are, that you're providing value to others, then your life, that's where people find satisfaction and fulfillment. So the whole premise of this always starts with, and you can look at the videos that I've put up before, that there are essentially two states of being. You're either in a connected, resourceful state where you are creative and you're in a growth state of being, and you feel good. And when I say connected, you're connected to your source of supply. You're connected to infinite intelligence. That's where, once you make a decision, and that's why I say it's so important to hold that place of the new decision, because that's when you allow infinite intelligence to bring forward the inspired ideas, the flow of new ideas to your conscious awareness, and the plans start to show up, the resources start to show up, and the connections with other people start to show up. You start to shift, change the direction of your life and move into a new chapter every time you step forward and make a committed decision. And that's the crux of it. The disconnected state, when you're not connected, you're either connected or you're disconnected. When you're disconnected, what happens is you activate your sympathetic nervous system. So it activates your physiology. So your connected state is that you're connected with your parasympathetic nervous system, and that causes you to move into a calm and relaxed state, and your digestive system and so on gets to work and so on. The alternative is when you activate, when you're stressed and you're in a heightened level of anxiety, that activates your sympathetic nervous system, and it shuts down the creative side, because all your blood goes to the muscles and you fight and flight or freeze if you're a goat. And so the idea of entrepreneurship, what's wonderful about it is if you learn to calm down and connect to your source of supply, the ideas start to come. You stay in a flow of information that allows you to move to where you want to go, and you expand your awareness all the time. And imagine that golden glow in the center of your being, always expanding and expressing itself into the world with the good that you desire to bring into this world. Then life's a wonderful thing. It becomes very, very inspiring. The formula that I'm working to here, and again, you go back to former videos, is that it's very simple. Desire plus what you believe that matches up with that desire equals desired outcome. So the challenge that most people have is that what they want is way beyond what they believe is possible right now. So there's all this resistance down here. So the idea is to learn to move into a non-resistant state of being, where you can keep expanding what you believe is possible all the time, so that you can get into the same signal or frequency as the desire that you have, and then it becomes a part of your reality. So I hope that helps. If this video, if you enjoyed this video, then please, send me a comment or give me a thumbs up, or join this channel, because more coming. My intention is to post one at least a week, and to bring more awareness of everything that I learned from Bob Proctor and my journey from losing everything in 2005 to financial independence in the life that my wife and I are living now. And my relationship with my wife is just the best it's ever been. It's absolutely extraordinary how it get better and better and better. And that can be for every single human being. It's just, you just have to make a decision. So bless you, and I'll see you on the next one.